Guys, I wanted to clear up a common misconception today, and this is really, it's not necessarily a flaw per se, but it's a poor nuance, it's an unnuanced statement that I've also been perpetuating regarding neck posture and lengthening of the neck, all right? Now, I made a video last time about how forward head posture is more or less a myth. If you haven't seen the video, go look at it. But when I teach the correction for this, this is where it's nuanced, because I typically teach to lengthen the spine, right? To pull as a string in the back of the head, not the top of the head, but the back of the head up. Now this might look pretty good when I show it to you. The problem is that most patients can't do that. And the other thing is, what if you don't want to sit in this military, stand or sit for that matter, in this military posture all day long? What do you do then? Do you collapse completely? Well, here's the point I'm wanting to address today. The bottom of the cervical spine, or the initial trajectory of the cervical spine, is predetermined by your chest positioning. This is also why studies have shown that head versus shoulder position is a much poorer predictor of neck pain than degree of thoracic kyphosis is. And the reason for that is that the more you slouch at the upper back, the more you need to hinge your neck to maintain a horizontal gaze, all right? Now, most patients, they're not able to get here because most patients don't have that amount of thoracic extension available. They need to work up to that. So that, what does that mean? You have to work with thoracic extension for 6 months, for 12 months until you can start working or start attaining a proper neck posture? No. What we do is that we accommodate the postural correction to the predetermined or pre-existing cervical trajectory. What does that mean? Well, it means, for example, that let's say the patient can't get higher than this. Let's say they should maybe be here, if they're standing at least. Let's say they can't get higher than this. So the neck will be pointing to some extent forward. Well, what we do then, instead of trying to pull up, because if my lower neck is pointing forward and I try to pull my neck this way, that will cause excessive extension of the neck. That will pull on the scalenes and that can cause various issues. So what we're supposed to do, in my opinion and in my experience, is that we pull along that trajectory. Now, exactly what degree, you can gauge this a little bit by what feels normal, right? Or what feels not like shit, you might say, because it might not feel normal either when you're just getting started with this, because you will feel some strain just by holding your neck up. But when you start pulling back, you can see it looks bad and it feels bad. So that's not what you're supposed to do. If you get a weaker chin, if your chin is looking weaker after you made the correction, it's not good, all right? So for me, for example, if I'm working at the computer, I'm not going to sit like this all day long. I'm not going to do that. And I don't need to do that. So what I do, let's say my chest is down because I'm working at the computer. I will pull the back of my head this way. That way, I still have a fairly straight neck. I'm not collapsing into gravity. All right? And I keep my shoulders up, obviously. I talk about this in other videos, but I pull along the trajectory of the spine. And I stay there. That's where I'm going to work. Okay? Now, personally, if I stand up, I'm probably going to be here. I will be pulling more upwards. But like I said, most patients, most people, not even patients, most people can't do that because as you try to get them to extend their upper back, they actually end up leaning. They end up leaning in like this. Can you see that? They end up leaning in like this rather than pulling the nipples up and forward like you should. This is where you should be, but they end up doing this. So they lean back and then you end up here anyway. So, like I said, you can work on this in parallel, but it's not as important as the neck posture. So if you choose to leave that for a later project, or if you choose to work in parallel, you still need a short-term solution to the neck problem. And you do that by accommodating the correction to the pre-existing or predetermined trajectory of the neck, predetermined by the chest position. You see that, guys? I can keep my neck here. I can keep my head and neck here and lock it here. If I put my chest down, you see I'm not moving my neck. Chest up, chest down. My neck movement has not changed. So how can we call it forward? Well, a bad neck posture, because the neck position hasn't changed. You see that, guys? Okay, so I hope that makes the point clear. If you're sitting and working, if you're just not able to get your chest to the proper position, you pull up and slightly forward, and that's perfectly fine, guys. That's perfectly fine. All right? Okay, I hope this video was helpful. I am hoping to clarify a couple of other myths today as well. So let's see what we can do today, guys. Have a great day and weekend.